name's Anne. I am from Mediamatic and I'm going to be hosting this event. Today I'm dressed as a caterpillar. I'm not sure if I already feel a lot like a caterpillar. Mainly very hot at this moment, but that might change. And today we're going to have an artist talk with Jesse Asselman. And Jesse Asselman is sitting next to me right now. You might not have seen him, because you might have thought that there was just a plant sitting next to me. I have some questions for him, for this houseplant in residence. So, welcome everyone, let's start. Hello. What kind of plant are you? This is a bit awkward. Maybe a better question. How is it for you being a plant today? Sorry, man. Okay. Maybe. What do you ask plants? I really don't know. But I do understand that plants maybe don't talk, which makes this artist talk a little bit awkward. So maybe we can talk to Jesse instead of to the plant.
Yeah.
Welcome, Jesse.
Hello. You said it, plants don't talk.
Yes, I'm very sorry. I should have known that. That's a little bit, I'm sorry guys. But now you do talk, so you're not a plant anymore.
Now I'm just Jesse.
Ah, okay, now you're just Jesse. So, but you're still green.
Yeah, so, I was saying it, and then I thought, not completely, of course. Should I don't know. So, yeah, I find it always interesting to think about this dynamic of when am I me and when am I something else. I think it's always kind of complex thing. So where do you cross the border, or when are you on the border? I think right now I'm more or less on the border, and I always really find that maybe even more interesting than when I'm actually performing. But I think for this I should talk about myself as performing houseplant. And it's very interesting. I'm just sitting somewhere and trying to be a houseplant. And it has a lot of interesting. You get a lot of interesting encounters of people. It's a very rich experience because it's a lot of people coming by, and I feel how they want to share this moment of communication with me. It's a very intimate thing, I think. But there is always this problem, which I think I feel when I'm performing, but also the audience also feels that it's there is a kind of yeah, it's like I am a part of, I'm incorporating a kind of world, and every one of you is also incorporating a kind of world. And when we meet, it's like the meeting of two worlds, in a way.
And of course, we are sort of researching whether dressing up like another being can actually get you a little bit closer to that other being. Would you say that that other world that you are in at that moment is closer to the world of a plant, or is that ridiculous? And can't we get closer to plants by dressing up?
No, I do think as soon as I go into the performative state, let's say, I instantly tune down the velocity of time, how to say. So time slows down, and also like all this idea of yeah, what you have as a human, of purpose, or it all doesn't, I try to put it all out. So it's almost like kind of meditative state where I try to be more or less empty and let the sounds, because a lot of, which I really enjoyed, is like there are a lot of animal sounds around the building from different works, I think, and they really were very pleasing to me, actually. But also how people also come and go, and then I have thoughts that pop up, and I let them go again. So it's a kind of meditative thing. And if I try to go back to your question, um, what was your question exactly?
Do you think that it helps that when you're embodying a plant, because you are being a plant, that you are actually closer to becoming a plant? Do you understand the plant better when you're performing?
Yeah, it's a difficult. I don't think I can really. I can just imagine being a plant, you know. But I think it comes with a lot of. If you try to do that, it also you can also learn a lot about kind of a philosophy of plants, like how a plant is in the world, and what that means, which I think is a totally different way of looking at the world. It's a bit how I, in the beginning, came to this performance. Um, yeah, I was, well, I've been interested about that also after, but about the background of our existence, and in the background of our environment, there's a lot of there's a lot of green and blue of the sky, and by trying to incorporate this thing which lives in the background, you can get a totally different way of looking at the world, which is, like you said in the beginning, not so centered upon the human and its way of looking at the world. But yeah, it's it's more in yeah.
Would you recommend other people to become plants for a day? And do you have tips?
Yeah. I would recommend everybody to do it. I think it can only be beneficial to the planet as a whole. But really, yeah, yes. I think, yeah.
And what's your advice if I wanna? Should we do it every morning? And then how should we do it? Should we be dressed, or can we also do it not dressed up like a plant?
I think you can also do it not dressed up. I think it helps. I think for this, I think kind of ritual is the key word. Every time I did this performance, or every day, I've been doing it 3 days, it took me at least 1.5 hours to get ready with all the body paint and everything. And I do think that's like a gateway into this new way of being. Yeah.
And you were talking just before about that you get in more into the plant philosophy. What is for you the plant philosophy?
The plant philosophy is, I think, yeah, I think it's very complex, but I think it's a total turnaround but it's about kind of immersivity actually. So being in the world, in contact or in connection. I think connection is also a key word with the world and the beings that are in that world. Yeah, so it's not so much about me, but more about how I relate to the space and the beings around.
And then there's actually one more question that I would really like to ask you, because whenever I see you as a plant, I can't really get my eyes off it. It is really beautiful, mesmerizing plant that you see, and actually it makes me more curious of plants. So how is that encounter with other people? Do you think that maybe if you dress up as another being, I mean, I'm sort of trying to pull it back to the project a bit, it's very contextually relevant, but would you say that if you dress up like another being, that you might also inspire other beings to think more about the perspective of plants?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think if you see something that you maybe cannot quite grasp, something which is a bit in between the human being and something else, I think there's a kind of feeling of wonder and curiosity of trying to wanting to get closer to it. And yeah, I think it's also what I said a bit in the beginning. And I think for sure it's a kind of, there's a kind of energy going there and pulling people for sure. That's why I do it, I think.
Beautiful. So then maybe does anyone else have a question for Jesse, the houseplant? Do we all know how to become a plant? Willem?
I'm curious, how do you experience time when you're in your performance?
Willem's question is, how do you experience time while you're in your performance?
It slows down for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I'm just sitting somewhere and there's no one, and it's yeah. I think also if we look at our day-to-day lives, they go very fast. We always have to do a lot of things, running around, and in that sense, it's also good to play plants. Yeah, there was somebody at some other event, I don't know, she was talking about, she was talking about performing a dog. She had this kind of thing of being a dog for certain periods of time, and then behaving totally as a dog with other dogs, and it was quite fascinating. And she was talking about performing dog. Like you would say, like, I'm making art. It's like a thing you do. And I think you can also do that with a plant, maybe. I think, yeah.
Okay, so now I think we should. Oh, yes, another question.
You were speaking about tasks, so as you say, like as people, we have to do tasks like this and that, but plants also have tasks, man. They have, I don't know, the simplest task that most of plants do is photosynthesis. Do you also take into the consideration the aspects that plants have to do, or do you more take in the just being a plant, so just as an existence of the thing, but not the tasks that they have to do? That's interesting for me to know.
For everyone who didn't hear this, the question is that Jesse was talking about tasks as a human being, that you don't have to think about that. And the question is, but a plant also has tasks like photosynthesis. Do you take them into account while performing?
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting question. Yeah, if I think about it, I think I think, but I don't know, that for plants it happens more or less automatically. It's something in them that does it, so they don't have to really think of doing that. I do have, because I sometimes walk. When I see a ray of light, I always want to go to that ray of light.
Yeah, but that's something I want to know.
Yeah, yeah, that I would, yeah.
Another question?
Yeah.
Yes.
You deprive yourself of feeling like a sense because you have something over your eyes as well. Does that how does that really incorporate within the practice of the eating plants? Is that how do you relate to taking out some senses or maybe depriving? How does that work?
The question is, you deprive yourself of a sense, maybe sight, because he's wearing the blindfold. How does that help you within your practice, or how does that work within your practice?
Yeah, it's also a bit of a symbolic thing to do, I think, but also it's not a complete blindfold. I can see in sort of, but not very good. Just
You're
like
still light sensitive.
like light sensitivity, something like that, and it helps me also because I don't have this direct contact with people. I only have this. I can feel them; they are there, but I cannot really have this contact. And I think I couldn't do it. I think it has to be like that. Yeah.
So I want to get into the last question, namely, how can we concretely, what kind of advice do you have for us if we want to become a plant?
I think maybe start with, making yourself green and stay still somewhere in the corner or in a particular place. And I think maybe everybody has their own way also. I cannot force anything on you, but it could help, just to. And I think costumes, like this whole thing, is that's probably maybe the way to go. How to start, to reach into our world. Yeah.
Nice. I said it was another question, but actually it's a very nice conversation. I have another question.
You should
Because-
eat him, you're a caterpillar.
Oh, yeah.
Why aren't you biting him?
Because I am at this moment Anna and he's at this moment Jesse. But when we're performing, I will definitely eat him. Most definitely.
Like a proper vegan.
The questions that I had was actually, do you think this performance also works in nature? Do you think it works without people around, but you being a plant with plants?
Yeah, then it becomes a really personal experience. And I think that's a totally different story. Because, I think this is kind of a lot about the interaction between you and the. But it's actually really interesting you say that, because maybe it's even a very good thing to do. You would have to see the trees of the forest and the bushes as your audience, and I think you would need to practice that a bit, or really put it. Yeah, it's not the same. It's probably more difficult. It's next level, but I think it could work. Yeah.
Do you think it would inspire or improve you in a way?
The question is, do you think it would inspire or improve you?
Yeah, I think I should maybe try something like that. It could be a good thing. Yeah, I think so. It can never be a bad thing to try.
Yeah.
I think that was a beautiful way to close this artist talk. Thank you very, very much, Chris Jasperman.